Imagine if the secret to saving your relationship wasn't, couples therapy or long talks, but a little titanium ring that reads your partner's blood oxygen levels.
It sounds completely like science fiction,
Well,
honestly.
it totally does.
Yeah.
But I want you, the listener, to picture a scenario for a second. Let's say it's Friday afternoon. You've had an incredibly long week. You're looking forward to date night. But the moment you walk through the front door, your partner is they're grumpy.
Oh, we've all been there.
Exactly. You get the short answers. They're slamming the kitchen cabinet doors, the whole 9 yards. And usually this is where the tension just spikes, right? You get defensive, maybe an argument starts out of nowhere, and suddenly your entire Friday night is completely derailed.
Yeah, it spirals fast.
It does. But imagine if, right before you walked in that door, a piece of jewelry told you exactly why they were feeling that way. Not a guess, but like actual physiological proof that they're just running on empty.
I mean, it completely flips the script on relationship conflict. You are literally forced out of this place of emotional reactivity and moved into a place of, well, objective understanding.
And that is the exact dynamic we are unpacking in today's deep dive. We are looking through an incredible stack of research today. We've got tech reviews of the latest AI wellness rings, data governance protocols, and some really fascinating clinical papers looking at a concept called biosynchronized couple wellness.
Which is such a wild term when you actually think about it.
It really is. So the mission today is to explore this completely new frontier. Wearable tech is fundamentally shifting. It's moving away from just tracking your own individual fitness, like counting steps or whatever, and moving toward tracking and actually improving relationship dynamics.
Specifically, how objective health data can act as the ultimate empathy tool between two people.
Right. Okay, let's unpack this, because the idea that technology is bridging the gap between our raw biology and our romance is just mind-blowing to me.
It really is a massive leap forward. But to really understand how this changes the dynamic between two people, you first have to look at how the technology itself has evolved.
Okay, take me through that.
Well, the wearable market has historically had some very specific philosophies. Take Aura, for example. Their system typically tracks recovery through a readiness score. And that heavily weights metrics like heart rate variability, your resting heart rate, maybe your body temperature.
Right, the classics.
Exactly. Then you have devices like Whoop, which historically prioritize strain. So they're measuring how hard you pushed your body today and, how much recovery you need from that specific exertion.
Wait, before we move on, I think you have to clarify something for those of us who aren't, physiologists. Why does something like heart rate variability actually tell a device if you are ready for the day?
That is a crucial point to understand, actually. So heart rate variability, or HRV, is the measurement of the tiny fluctuations in time between your heartbeats. If your heart beats like a metronome, just perfectly spaced out, you'd think that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, I would assume so. Steady heartbeat seems good.
But actually, no. That indicates your nervous system is stressed. It means it's stuck in a fight or flight mode.
Wait, really?
Yeah. But if there is high variability, meaning the time between your beats is constantly adjusting by just milliseconds, it means your nervous system is relaxed. It's adaptable and ready to take on new physical or mental challenges.
Oh, wow.
So a high HRV equals high readiness.
Okay, that makes total sense now. So those traditional devices are taking that HRV data and essentially logging what your body has already been through. But looking at the tech reviews we have today, this new generation of AI rings, like the Oxyzen, for example, it takes a totally different approach.
Right. And what's fascinating here is the shift from passive logging to proactive prediction. Oxygen really positions itself as a predictive health coach.
Meaning it tells you what's going to happen, not just what did happen.
Exactly. It integrates deep blood oxygen data, SpO2, into its core AI algorithms, right alongside that HRV data we just talked about. So it doesn't just tell you how you slept last night. It uses machine learning to detect these tiny, invisible trends.
Invisible trends? Like what?
Well, it's designed to anticipate your recovery needs, or even flag an incoming illness, or a huge spike in physical stress before you consciously feel any of the symptoms.
So how does that actually work in practice? Like, how does my blood oxygen predict a cold before my throat even starts hurting?
It basically comes down to resource allocation in your body. When you are exposed to a pathogen, let's say a common cold virus, your immune system kicks in hours, sometimes even days, before you actually feel sick.
Oh, right. It's fighting the battle before you even know there is a battle.
Precisely. And fighting off that virus requires energy and oxygen. So the ring detects a sustained microscopic drop in your blood oxygen levels, coupled with maybe a slight rise in your resting heart rate.
So you feel completely fine at this point.
You feel totally normal. But the algorithm sees the internal battle starting, and it immediately flags your readiness score as low.
I love this. It sounds like the difference between a rearview mirror and a weather forecast. Older trackers just looked in the rearview mirror and logged what happened yesterday.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. But this new AI is acting like an internal meteorologist. It's basically telling you to grab an umbrella because a biological storm is brewing, even if the skies look completely clear right now.
That is a perfect analogy. And because the form factor is a ring rather than, say, a bulky smartwatch, it changes the user experience entirely. The reviews highlight the pros pretty clearly. It's a discreet design, which makes it much more comfortable for 247 wear.
Yeah, I imagine you actually forget you have it on.
You do, which is especially critical for getting accurate, uninterrupted sleep data. And of course, it has that actionable AI translating the raw data into these predictive wellness scores.
But, looking through the user feedback, it's definitely not a flawless system. I'm trying to picture the reality of wearing a piece of jewelry 24/7, and there are some glaring drawbacks to this form factor.
Certainly. I mean, many of these AI wearables require ongoing monthly subscription fees just to access the deep insights.
Yeah, on top of a pretty hefty upfront cost for the hardware itself.
Exactly. And there's also the issue of fit sensitivity. A ring must fit your finger absolutely perfectly to get accurate SpO2 and heart rate readings.
Which is hard because don't our fingers change size all the time?
They do. It can be incredibly tricky because human fingers swell or shrink depending on the temperature outside, your hydration levels, or honestly, even what you ate for dinner.
And obviously there is no screen on a ring.
Right. There is no display on the device itself, so you are entirely reliant on pulling your phone out and opening an app just to see your data.
Which brings us right back to our Friday night scenario. Because if this AI can predict your internal biological weather forecast, and you have to open an app to see it, what happens when you share that app with the person you live with?
And this is where we see the most profound shift in the entire wearable ecosystem. The core focus of sharing these wellness dashboards is really how it fosters mutual support.
Okay, break that down for me.
Well, these rings are strictly tracking objective physiological data. We were talking about heart rate, breathing patterns, cortisol levels, and highly detailed sleep stages. When couples share these dashboards with each other, seeing those objective metrics provides concrete context for a partner's current mood or energy levels.
But hold on, I have to ask.
Uh,
Doesn't staring at a dashboard completely kill the romance of a relationship?
how do you mean?
Like, if I have to check an app on my phone to figure out if my partner is mad at me, isn't that just a clinical cheat code?
Yeah.
It feels like we are outsourcing our human intuition to an algorithm.
I completely understand that hesitation. It can sound very clinical on the surface. But if we connect this back to the bigger picture of relationship psychology, it actually removes a massive amount of destructive guesswork.
Destructive guesswork.
Yeah. Think about how human beings naturally process negative interactions. When your partner is snapping at you or, giving you those short answers after work, what is the very first thing your brain does?
Oh, my internal narrative almost always jumps to, what did I do wrong? Or, why are they mad at me?
Exactly. We take it personally almost immediately. We assume we are the cause of the friction.
We really do.
But when you have this transparency, when you can look at the app and see that they have a surprisingly low rest score or their predictive readiness is just tanking, it shifts that internal narrative.
So instead of getting defensive.
Right. Instead of getting defensive, you look at the data and think, oh, their body is physically depleted. They aren't mad at me. Their nervous system is just overwhelmed.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. It completely takes the ego out of the equation.
It does. This transparency prompts you to be understanding and to take supportive action. Instead of picking a fight because they seem distant or grumpy, you might suggest planning a quieter, more relaxing evening together so they can recover.
Yeah, you order takeout instead of forcing a big night out.
Exactly. It turns a potential conflict into a moment of active care. Knowledge is most valuable when it's applied to support one another.
So it really is an empathy hack. You're not fighting each other. You're basically teaming up against the exhaustion.
Precisely.
And reading through the clinical papers in our sources, it goes so much deeper than just reading each other's independent scores on an app. It's about how those scores actually interact when two people are sleeping in the exact same bed.
Yes, This is fascinating. The scientific papers we reviewed dive heavily into the concept of sleep co-regulation.
Sleep co-regulation.
Right. This is measuring how well you and your partner's physiological signals actually align during the night.
Okay, stop right there, because I was reading this part of the research and it totally blew my mind. Here's where it gets really interesting. When I was trying to conceptualize this, it immediately made me think of two musicians in a jazz band.
Oh, I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, imagine a bassist and a drummer who have played together for so long that they naturally find the exact same rhythm without even looking at each other. Their bodies just know how to sync up to the same groove.
The jazz band is a fantastic way to look at it. And just like a jazz band, if the drummer speeds up the tempo, the bassist unconsciously has to adjust to maintain the harmony.
Yeah.
Biologically, the exact same thing is happening in bed. If your partner's breathing becomes erratic or their body temperature spikes, your nervous system responds to that.
But how do two human nervous systems silently communicate in the dark? Are we talking about some kind of biological Wi-Fi here?
In a weird way, yes. It basically comes down to incredibly subtle sensory inputs. It is thermal regulation, literally feeling the radiant heat off your partner's skin.
Oh!
It is micro movement, so the tiny shifts in the mattress as they turn. And crucially, it is respiration matching. When you sleep next to someone, you hear and feel their breathing, and your brain unconsciously attempts to match that rhythm.
That is so wild.
It is. So a high co-regulation score indicates a high level of synchrony in all of this. It means you are entering deep sleep or REM sleep cycles at similar times. Your heart rates and breathing patterns are aligning as you rest.
Okay, and the big aha moment in these clinical papers is what that physical synchrony actually implies for the relationship itself.
Yes, it bridges the gap perfectly between subjective feelings and objective data. Studies actually suggest that achieving this high physical synchrony often correlates directly with subjective feelings of emotional closeness, bonding, and overall relationship satisfaction.
Wait, really?
Yes, the wearable is objectively measuring your REM sleep and your heart rate variability, but that data is directly reflecting how the couple actually feels about their bond.
So, feeling quote-unquote in sync with your partner isn't just a cute metaphor you write in an anniversary card. It is a literal, measurable, physiological state.
Precisely. When your nervous systems are physically aligned, you feel more emotionally connected during the day.
Okay, but let's be real. What if you're not in a perfectly synced jazz band? What if the data shows you're totally out of sync, you're dropping the beat and playing two completely different songs?
That happens quite a bit.
Right, because if you're listening to this and you're a night owl married to a morning person, you know exactly what kind of friction this causes. So how does the technology actually help fix a mismatch like that?
That is where the AI moves from being purely descriptive to being prescriptive.
Yeah.
One of the primary tools here is chronotype analysis.
Chronotype analysis.
Yeah. The machine learning algorithms analyze your long-term patterns to determine your inherent biological clock. It figures out definitively if one of you is a morning lark and the other is a night owl.
Which is such a classic relationship struggle. One person is ready to run a marathon at 6 in the morning, and the other person is just hitting their creative stride at midnight. It causes so much tension about when to turn the TV off or turn the lights out.
It really does. And by providing objective data on sleep onset and duration, couples can identify these mismatches without the judgment.
Because it's just biology.
Exactly. It allows them to negotiate a middle ground bedtime, or at least structure their shared routines in a way that respects both biological clocks. You stop trying to force a night owl into a 5 a.m. wake-up call because you finally have the hard data proving their body fundamentally resists it.
Okay, but speaking of tossing and turning, that brings up a huge vulnerability here.
What's that?
If my app tells me that your restlessness officially ruined my deep sleep last night, doesn't that just give me highly accurate, objective data to start a massive fight over breakfast? Like, I can literally pull out my phone and say, look right here, your tossing cost me 45 minutes of REM sleep.
I mean, it certainly could if you choose to use it as a weapon. But practically, based on user behavior studies, it tends to have the exact opposite effect. It actually depersonalizes the conflict.
How does seeing proof that they ruin my sleep depersonalize it?
Because instead of blaming the partner's character, saying, you're so inconsiderate, you kept me up all night, you blame the biology or the environment.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. The data prompts practical adjustments. Maybe it means you need to upgrade to a larger mattress, or change your bedding, or adjust the room temperature. It turns a point of friction into a shared wellness goal. Couples actually start gamifying their rest.
Oh, I do love the idea of gamifying it. Like, hey, let's see if we can get our co-regulation score up to 90 tonight by turning the thermostat down a few degrees.
Exactly. And there are hardware features built into these rings that help navigate these mismatches too, like the smart alarms.
Oh, right. Tell me about the smart alarms.
The smart alarms are a brilliant application of this data. Instead of a loud audible alarm from a phone that just jolts both people awake in the dark, the ring uses subtle wrist or finger vibrations.
Nice.
And because it's tracking you, it can identify when you are in a light sleep stage and wake you gently without disturbing your partner, who might still be deep in a REM cycle. It completely minimizes disruptions and respects the fact that your sleep cycles just aren't perfectly aligned.
Okay, but wait. If my ring is vibrating to wake me up based on my light sleep, that means my phone knows my exact state of consciousness at all times. And now it's sending that highly personal state of consciousness over to my partner's phone.
Yes, it is.
How are we handling the privacy of this? With all of this incredibly intimate biological data flying back and forth, we have to talk about boundaries.
This raises an essential question about data governance. When you are sharing granular health metrics with another human being, even someone you deeply love, privacy protocols simply must be the top priority. Platforms like Oxyzen have built their entire sharing architecture around a few key principles.
What do those protocols actually look like in practice, though?
It relies heavily on granular sharing. That means you have absolute control over which specific metrics your partner can actually see.
So I can pick and choose.
Exactly. You might be perfectly comfortable sharing your overall sleep score or your daily step count to encourage that healthy competition. But you might want to keep your moment-to-moment heart rate or your cortisol levels completely private. It is not an all-or-nothing data dump.
Yeah, that feels essential. I wouldn't want everything out there all the time.
It is. The system is also entirely built on consent-based access. So it requires a mutual invite and acceptance before a single byte of data is shared. And crucially, it features revocable permissions.
Meaning I can just cut it off.
You can turn off the sharing at any time, instantly, no questions asked.
Good. Because as much as we've talked about how this tech acts as an empathy hack, there is a fundamental limitation here that the privacy and tech reviews are very, very clear about. A wellness ring cannot read minds.
No, it cannot.
It cannot understand a partner's specific good or bad intentions.
And that really is the ultimate limitation of the technology. The ring can tell you that your partner's heart rate is elevated and their HRV is low, which indicates a severe stress response. But the AI has absolutely no way of knowing why.
Right. Are they stressed because they have a massive presentation at work tomorrow? Or are they stressed because of an unresolved argument we had this morning?
Exactly. The app cannot decode psychological motives.
So what does this all mean for us? To me, it means the ring is an incredible tool for context, but it is not a mind reader. It basically gives you the starting point for a conversation, but you still actually have to have the conversation.
You absolutely do.
You can't just look at the app and say, well, their readiness score is an 85, so we are completely good. You still have to look at them and ask, how was your day?
I couldn't agree more. Critical thinking remains essential. The technology provides the objective physical state of your partner's body. But interpreting the why, the personal motives, the emotional nuances, the psychological intentions, that still relies entirely on good old-fashioned human communication.
You just cannot outsource your emotional communication to an algorithm.
Right. The data should prompt the question, it should inspire the empathy, but it can never replace the human interaction.
I think that is the perfect takeaway. As we wrap up this deep dive, it is genuinely amazing to reflect on how far this tech has come. What started as a way to just hack our own individual biology, counting our steps, tracking our own personal bests, is evolving into something so much more complex.
It really is.
Its greatest potential might actually be in hacking our empathy, giving us the grace and the objective context to understand the people we love on a deep physiological level.
It is a profound shift in how we relate to one another. And it actually leaves me with a final thought for you to mull over.
Ooh, let's hear it.
We've talked about how our bodies naturally sync up like a jazz band, and how these AI algorithms can now predict a partner's physical stress before they even consciously register it themselves. As this technology gets more advanced, it begs a really fascinating question. Who actually knows us better in the end?
Oh, wow.
Is it our partner's human intuition, built on years of love and observation? Or is it the AI, silently analyzing the invisible shared biological rhythm of our lives?
That is a question that will definitely keep me up tonight, ruining my sleep score in the process. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and remember, the next time you walk through the door on a Friday night, you might just want to pay attention to the biological weather forecast. It might just save your weekend.